Welcome to Season 2 of the Therapist to Millions podcast, where we get under the skin and into the brains of leading therapists and coaches from around the globe to find out what makes them tick and how they are helping those on the front lines of mental health around the world. Hello and welcome to the Therapist to Millions podcast, where we get into the brains, under the skin, and really find out what's really going on in the world's leading therapists, coaches, and consultants. And today, all the way from the UK, we have Pippa Simou, who has over 20 years teaching experience, but left teaching in 2016 because she needed more flexibility to support her own children who both have ADHD. She joined the team at a local charity that supports parents and professionals with children who have ADHD and ASD, where she came to understand that she also has ADHD. Me too, confirming a lack of support for ADHD adults, and in particular, a lack of targeted services for women and girls with the condition. So she started the ADD-vantage in 2020, which offers support specifically to women and girls learning to see ADHD as a strength, a superpower, yay. She provides one-to-one personal coaching, workplace support, educational consultancy, free workshops, and regular online chat groups. She lives in Hertfordshire with her husband and Oscar the Cockapoo and loves baking and rambles in the countryside. So Pippa, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I'm particularly keen to dig into this one because I too was diagnosed as an adult with ADHD, and it explained everything. I mean, it just explained everything.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
And then it's a case of, well, what do you do next?
Yes, because it doesn't make anything go away. Obviously, you're still the same person that walked in the office that walks out the office with the diagnosis. Nothing has actually changed except that tremendous piece of understanding about why it has been the way it has. So yeah, I'm with you. It's quite a journey, isn't it, to come to that understanding.
It certainly is, yeah. And I mean, I put it in my blog post on Friday. It's like someone's got a remote control. It's like you've got all these TV channels in your head, and someone else has got the remote, and they just keep flicking. It's just. And I used to think it was procrastination and all sorts of things, but the TV channel explanation really kind of went, oh yeah, that's me all the time.
Yeah, I love that. Someone else has got the remote control. I'm going to remember that one. That's good.
So how did you, I mean, obviously your own story is, your children had it and then you sort of went to support them. What was the moment when you kind of realized, hold on a minute, this is me?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not quite as wise as many women on the journey who do realise in the moment when they investigate for their children that it is them too. I still did not get the memo at that time. It was my son was diagnosed first, and I'm nothing like him. So I was like, well, I don't have that, do I? Because I'm nothing like him. So he was like my measure stick, I suppose. And obviously I did come to understand it's a hereditary condition. He's just like his dad. So I was like, well, there we go then. That's where they get it from. And I was teaching. I understood what ADHD stood for. I had a sort of vague awareness of what it meant, but not really. Then I left teaching, and then I was literally soaked in a whole world of ADHD. Still did not get the memo, still introducing myself as, hello, I'm neurotypical, but my children have ADHD. And it was actually when I was at a conference, the ADHD Foundation conference, I came across some people with some software that can measure ADHD symptoms. And I thought that'd be terribly useful for the charity I work for. Long story short, I met up with them, had a chat, and they asked if I wanted to try the software for, fun. So I was like, okay, try the software. And I got a really, really high score. So I was like, oh, so the software compared me to women of my age doing this test. So not compared me to my son. So it was then that I was like, okay, then I'm in. I'm team ADHD. And at that moment, it wasn't so much transformation for me in that moment. It was more like, oh my word, I have a daughter and she's just like me. So actually all my time and attention then went into supporting her and encouraging her. She was diagnosed, and then I was subsequently. So yeah, it took me a while really to get the message. I feel a little bit embarrassed when I look back, honestly, how that could be, because I was a proper nerd. I did loads of reading, but yeah, I think that's the thing. When you know someone with ADHD and you sort of compare yourself to them and that's your stick, then that's maybe how you judge it. So
That's it, I
yeah.
think, yeah. And there's obviously different types, and that I think that's the thing that people
Yes.
don't understand either.
Yes, yeah, I didn't really understand how hyperactivity could be drive, could be chat, could be very small movements like twiddling with my hair, playing with my jewelry. I thought it meant literally can't sit down, but I'd learned to sit down and behave, as many girls and women have and do and still do today. So so I was 44, so it was nearly 6 years ago now. So but the understanding has been tremendously helpful, really, really helpful. And the biggest gift is the compassion I can bring to myself and stop the decades of the, I won't say a rude word, but, the inner, the voice that you would never use on any other human being that you've been using on yourself, quieten her down. And so I feel much more comfortable in my own skin as a result.
The ninja self-saboteur.
Exactly. Yeah.
What out of interest, because I've got my own ways of managing mine, which are really self-taught actually, as much as anything else. So how do you help your clients? How do you help yourself? How do you manage it yourself?
The biggest thing for myself, which I had instinctively found, maybe like you were saying, like you self-taught ways, like you instinctively find things that support you to be a better version of yourself. For me, it's been movement, running in particular, and running and being outside in nature. I have found that to be incredibly therapeutic and helpful. There are lots of other things that I would add to that, but I think that's probably the thing that's been the most consistent, and it's the thing that I can always rely on. I can always put my trainers on and go, and that I found that to be a huge save. So yeah, movement and being in nature has been really important for me.
How do you manage when you have to kind of like sit down and do the work? Because I know that's a big one. Certainly for me, that's where what I always thought procrastination was the issue. And actually, one of my business mentors, who's a very successful and very productive human being, would always talk about, being if there was an Olympic gold medal sport for procrastination, he'd already have won a gold medal by now. And then you kind of look at what he produces and think, yeah, but you produce so much stuff.
Yeah.
And when people look at me, they're like, you're the same. It's like, you've done so many things, you've written books and written music and done TED Talks and all this sort of stuff. And I just think, you have no idea. It's like the cost.
The journey.
Yeah. So apart from exercise, which is a huge one, absolutely huge. If I exercise every single day, multiple times. I take supplements as well, and I also listen to sort of specific music as well. Take regular breaks too.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. And also the days where it just isn't working. Again, that's I think where you have to like be really gentle with yourself and go, well, there's going to be other days when it really is working. So
yeah, I agree. You've got to pay attention to what's going on inside your body. What is your body telling you about the energy level you have today? What you can bring to your work. I have a pick and mix approach, because I'm sure you found as well that like when you do find something that works, that it will work, and it does work, and it will work until your brain goes, do you know what, I'm bored of that, and then it won't work, and then you're like, damn it. So you have to have like a kind of pick and mix of strategy. So sometimes for me it might be that thing I'm dreading, right, I'm just going to launch myself at it, and that's my gateway to doing the more attractive things later on in the day. So it could be that. It could be low-lying fruit, like, oh, do you know what, I'm just going to empty the dishwasher and make the bed, and I get a little bit of dopamine from that, and then that might ease me into the work. I have finally stopped expecting myself to do everything as well. Like, I am really good at my actual job. I'm not great at spreadsheets. I'm not great at the things around my business, as you can imagine. But I forgive myself for that, and find someone else to do it, or just say, well, you know what, it's not happening. It's not going to happen today. It might not happen this month, this week. Sometimes I use my support crew to help me, a bit of accountability. This is really important. I've really got to do this. It would really help me if you would check in with me in half an hour, or even sit next to me while you do your thing, and that'll help me do my thing. So it's a pick and mix really of things that get me over the line. And I do take medication for my ADHD now. I didn't initially. But you are very lucky not to be experiencing menopause, unless, I don't know, there is something called menopause. I understand. I don't really understand what that is. But anyway, menopause, let me tell you, is rubbish. And so I am like, do you know what? I will take any help I can get currently. And so I do take medication as well. And that helps. It's a tool in the kit. It's not magic.
My partner's been going through the menopause now for 5 years.
It's miserable.
It's horrendous.
Yes, it is. It's a proper design fault. I'd like my money back. Thank you very much.
Can we re-engineer this one, please?
Yes, definitely.
Now, using some hypotheticals and no identifying factors, can you give just some examples of success stories?
Yes, I've all the women I work with, without a shadow of a doubt, are literally brilliant, but they cannot see it and do not believe it about themselves. So for me, the magic is when they do start to see how incredible they are. People with ADHD tend to be brilliant. I mean, literally brilliant, like write the books, do the talks, invent the thing. But because for us, for us, it feels so natural to do those things. We kind of think it's easy. We don't notice how brilliant we are because we're in a state of flow, I suppose, and we tend to be very creative, and then we can be very dismissive of these brilliant things that we do every day or have done, of our achievements and so on, because we're too busy berating ourselves for the things that we can't do, won't do, are in trouble for, and so on. So for me, it is when the women that I work with start to see their strengths and lean into their strengths and can start to speak about being strong, being I suppose no one ever starts off with I'm brilliant, but they can start to say out loud, I am good at, I achieved, this is what I bring to the table. And that I'm also lucky as well, because I do realize I get to choose the people I work with. No one is made to work with me. Like I don't work for big companies or anything like that where they send me people. Yeah. My clients, some thunder going on here. My clients choose to work with me, so I do meet them before we start coaching to ascertain whether they are ready for that type of intervention. And without fail, I feel like I can honestly say that I do really see this change, and it can be so quick, and you can I feel like I'm often saying to them, I can see it in your face. When they're speaking, I can see that you can see the joy and acceptance when they're speaking about themselves, and it's a brilliant, beautiful thing. They come from all kinds of different settings. I have people in social work, in entrepreneurs that run their own business, therapists. I suppose it is. I think all the women I work with are people that work with other people. I think connection is quite important to us. We are people that get a lot from other people, and ideally bringing people on in some way. Like sort of seeing progress and development and growth. I kind of forgotten what the question was now. Success stories. Yeah, I think that that to me, it's like they come and say things like, "Oh, can you help me stop procrastinating? Can you help me with my time management? Can you help me with my emotional regulation?" And I think that all the things that they want to do are so possible when they start to accept who they were made to be and stop fighting against it and start to own their strengths and lean into them. So I hope I answered the question there somehow.
I think you did. It was interesting you said about entrepreneurship. I was at an event last Thursday with a whole room full of entrepreneurs, and I was speaking to a few of them, and I brought up ADHD. In fact, one of the people I was actually talking to at first actually brought it up first, and then we ended up all talking about it and saying, I actually think we pretty much always got it, it. Because entrepreneurs are unemployable, because they are just useless at like doing things in a linear order, and just ADHD obviously came into it. And like a few of the people say, I was diagnosed. I've been diagnosed. Oh, that explains everything. It's like we used to talk about the shiny object syndrome. Well, it's not actually that.
I do think we do best when we are driving our own ship, when we are in charge of the work, the process, we can do it our way, I think. And I think the clients that I work with that struggle the most, weirdly, I don't know why, the ones that don't work for themselves, literally 3 of them are working in the NHS. And I love the NHS, don't get me wrong, but as an employer, I think that it's very tough to have ADHD and be part of such a kind of clunky organization of, in my view, like unnecessary paperwork and do you know what I mean? And lots of meetings about meetings. It's for us, this stuff is painful, isn't it? Like sitting around in a meeting, like, what for? Why are we here? Like, what's the point?
I need to get on with stuff.
Got work to do actually. So I think yes, when we can be sort of like let off the lead, we we can be tremendous. I think it's a lot less painful.
Highly creative. Now, in terms of your marketing, so let's talk about that for a minute. So how do you do your marketing for your own business? How do you get clients?
So my clients find me, I suppose, I know that some of them do it through social media. So when I started my business, I basically thought that clearly was my job, was posting on social media, because I didn't have any clients, so I was just like, well, I'll just keep putting these posts out and see what happens. And then, the first one comes and, it's a bit of a domino effect. So I think initially that's how they find me. I'm about three years in. So now people listen to me on podcasts and they say, oh my gosh, I heard you on and want to work with me. Can be like that. Can be word of mouth. So I live in Hertfordshire. I have worked with quite a lot of local women. So those local women tell the other local women and so on. I think you might have frozen again, Damien. Oh, no, you're back. Okay, cool. Froze there for a sec. So yes, so word of mouth. The charity I used to work for doesn't support adults. So if an adult woman, well, not that I never work with men, I don't turn anybody away, just that I specialise in working with women. So sometimes I get people referred to me like that way. My husband has often said, Pip, you don't have any business acumen, love. And he's not wrong, because I've been a teacher, and so part of I didn't even have to do a tax return or anything. Like I never thought, there are lots of things I'd never ever thought about. So I sort of just found my way with it, really. And I certainly have plenty of work, Damien. So I don't know. They find me. I should probably be more robust in asking everybody where they found me, and then work out where my, I don't know, biggest impact is. But I haven't got time for that, frankly. Busy doing the work.
So what would you say is the biggest challenge you're currently facing in your practice then?
It is being at capacity. So I am my business. I'm currently at that point where I'm needing to consider, do I try to collaborate with other coaches? Do I have some associate coaches? Do I switch into maybe more group coaching? So it's still me, but it's a different setting. So I suppose I'm playing all that in my head at the moment, but that is my biggest challenge. I'm very much strength based in my approach. I'm not superpower, because I do think there are challenges of with this brain. Like there are difficulties and we do get tripped up, but I am all about the strengths. I feel like I'd need to know another coach really, really well to know that they were definitely doing it my way. So I'm not sure about that, but that's what I'm having to think about at the moment, and it is a challenge, because I think I just thought I'll just carry on. Like didn't really imagine that this would become a problem, but it is. People are waiting for quite a while to see me at the moment, and when a person with ADHD reaches out for help, being told that they're on the end of a 3, 4, 5 month waiting list isn't great, is it? Like, if we've reached out for help, you really need to help us right now, because it's, here I am in this moment. So yeah, that's my challenge.
Do you have any online content that you can kind of point people towards to kind of get started?
Yes, I do. I've made quite a lot of videos. I do workshops online, free workshops online, and I did record the last one, so that's out there in the ether. So and actually, when I say I post on social media, I hope that what I try to do is put a lot of really helpful information out there for how to live well with ADHD. So I do work very hard to make sure that my people get good information and up-to-date information about how they can help themselves. So yeah.
So you mentioned, group coaching, and what other plans for expansion have you got for the future?
So my big dream is to have a physical hub, a community space for women with ADHD, where we will be able to learn about our differences, live better, and then as a result live better, where we can support one another, where women with business, so ADHD women that run businesses that might serve other women with ADHD, it could be a venue for those businesses. So it would be hopefully like a magnet and a central space. So we just launched it a couple of weeks ago, actually, in someone else's like building, to see how we would go. We had a quite good response, so I'm quite excited to see how that will go. And through that, so I'm collaborating with one other person at the moment on that. I'm hoping that maybe some other people will collaborate to kind of share the responsibility of it all, especially if it does actually grow into, oh my word, a lease on a building for us or something, like, oh, a bit scary, but that's what I hope, because I think we get a lot from one another, a lot from connection. A lot of women with ADHD do very well with other women with ADHD. It's a very warm and supportive and creative space to be in. And a lot of times we have been holding up a mask, hiding, feeling less, feeling wrong, feeling lazy, stupid, all the rest of it, giving ourselves that kind of narrative. But when you're in a space with other ADHD women, it's very affirming and and very inspiring, actually. So that's what I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, have you thought about writing a book?
I have thought about writing a book. People have suggested I should write a book. I suppose if there is quite a lot out there at the moment, like midlife women sharing their ADHD story. So I'm not sure that I have do I have anything unique to bring to that, to what's already out there. I think it would be very therapeutic for myself to write my own story, definitely. I'm not sure that in terms of like making it, as successful, I'm not sure I can see a gap in the market that I could necessarily fill right now. Certainly, I suppose possibly as maybe like a workbook, something like that. Maybe I could put together. I'm not sure. I think one of your questions was about a book, wasn't it? Like what you wanted to ask. And I would say it's this one here is my, like I always say to women, if you only read one book, this is the one to read. So this is, it's got a really long title, that's why I'm holding it. A Radical Guide for Women with ADHD, Embrace Neurodiversity, Live Boldly and Break Through Barriers. That's Sari Solden and Michelle Frank. It is written workbook style, actually. You don't have to read it like that. I hadn't read a book for, I don't know, about 20 years, but I picked this up and I did not put it down. I felt like it was speaking to my very soul. I felt so seen. It was brilliant. And it's all about accepting who you are made to be and working with what you have, which is in fact brilliant. So that's what I would recommend. So yes, I don't know. I think actually maybe when we had the first meeting at this community hub, something that struck me as we were talking with one another was the stories that we tell. And actually, I suppose maybe a book of like gathering stories, curating the stories of the women that have crossed my path. Maybe there's something like that I could write, perhaps.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Fantastic. Now, on the subject of books, you've done that one. Are there any books that are non-therapy related or based that you can recommend as well? That would be a good.
Well, I love anything by Ned Hallowell. His actually, yeah, to be fair, is another book that I say if you only read one book, it would be ADHD 2.0 by Ned Hallowell, who really nails how to explain quite complicated neuroscience to the uninitiated. Although I am supposed to know about neuroscience, but anyhow, I like his work. Oh gosh, who else do I like? I don't know. I'm just looking around. At the moment, I'm drowning a bit because I'm trying to put together a massive portfolio of my work to evidence my coaching psychology, so I can become a chartered coaching psychologist with the BPS, which is not at all ADHD friendly. I'm sorry if you're listening, BPS, but you need to know this. You really need to get a consultant.
Yeah,
they are not good, but I'm trying to get accredited in the hope that if I can increase my professional status, let's say, that my voice, carries more weight. So when I'm lobbying MPs or trying to get funding for my hub, that it will. So when I'm looking around now, the current piles of books I have not really read for a long time are all kind of, I really wouldn't want to recommend them. They're quite heavy things. Yeah, and I do struggle to read actual books. I listen to books now.
Yeah, me too. Audio.
Yeah, I love Audible. What a gift! And you can always rewind it. It's just great. It's so good. I love
listening to it at 3 times speed in the morning when I'm walking the dog, and the dog's like, "Why are you walking so fast?" Because I'm listening at 3 times speed.
I've got to say, what a huge gift it is, isn't it, to be able to speed stuff up? Like if you have to do, if you didn't get to that bit of CPD, and then you can listen to it on 2 times speed. Oh, just love that stuff. Yeah.
It's like when people say, "It's like, well, why didn't you want to come to the live event?" It's like because you can't double the speed of it.
Exactly. You're just taking so long, wasting so much time. Yeah.
Or you go and see a live event of someone you've been listening to like all your life. Like, why are they speaking so slowly? Is that their normal voice? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and now tell us a fact that blows our mind, or tell us a joke that's one of a kind to win 3 months free membership at the Therapist to Millions.
I can never remember jokes, and I think that a fact that blows my mind, which you will be familiar with, but I cannot think of another condition that in order to be diagnosed you have to have someone else verify it. That blows my mind, that I cannot just go to a psychiatrist myself and say, I have all these things, I think it's ADHD. I have to get to my husband, my mother, my kids to verify, as we do, as I had to do for my children. Like, it wasn't enough that my son would present, I had to verify, the school had to verify. This blows my mind that we are still doing that. Like if I had epilepsy, or if I was diabetic, no one's checking with my husband, right? Like, it has to change. It has to stop.
100%.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And finally, how can people get hold of you?
So my business is the AD-vantage. You can find me on Facebook as the AD-vantage, ADD-vantage. My website is the ad-vantage.co.uk. I'm on Instagram, the advantage _ and I'm on LinkedIn as myself, Pippa Simou. So that's how you can find me. You're better off emailing me than phoning me, to be honest. So yeah, my email address is all over the place and people can find me that way.
Brilliant. We'll put all of those links into the show notes. And so, yeah, links to all your social media and your webpage and your email. So thank you so much for taking the time out to share your experience with us. And, we haven't had anyone who's a specialist in ADHD and ADD on the show as yet. And I think you've highlighted some very important issues that do need to be addressed. And so, please continue being at the forefront of this. And as someone who was also diagnosed, late in life, I think it's really important that we can highlight this and make some changes. Maybe, who knows?
Yes, I hope so. I did have quite highfalutin ideas about changing, like by lobbying government, and I did direct my attention that way for a little while, and then realised that was probably a waste of my energy because they are very slow and very, yes. So now I'm just going with, let's see what I can change and improve in my local, like locally to me. And then maybe that will inspire other people to do similar, and instead of trying to get, I just can't be doing with CCGs and committees and all the rest of it. It's just
trying to turn an oil tanker that's grounded.
Yeah, exactly. I like to see the progress of my thoughts. So yes, I will keep going until everybody knows what ADHD actually is, rather than what they think it is, and understands it as a difference, not a deficit or a disorder, that it's just a variety of being human, and we're still here, so we're obviously important, right? Otherwise we would have been, what's the word, phased out of the that's it, thank you. Yes, but we're still here, so we're still important, we've still got something to do. So
and we're highly creative.
We are. Everyone should be thanking us for our contributions, not moaning and expelling us from school and all the rest of it, and teaching us in a way that doesn't suit our brain. So yeah, but yes, thank you so much for having me. It was really lovely to talk to you.
Pleasure, Pippa. Lovely speaking with you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. I will.
All right, take care. If you would like to take part as a guest on the Therapist to Millions podcast, simply email me, damien@therapisttomillions.com. That's Damien with 2 A's, as all of the guests on the show will get 3 months free access to our Therapist to Millions membership worth $300. So if you would like to know how to write a best-selling book, secure a TEDx talk, create membership sites with content you don't even have to create, build client acquisition funnels, effective lead magnets, or your very own podcast, and way more besides, why not head over to therapisttomillions.com and join our community of like-minded professionals. And if you'd like an additional $20 off your membership, simply type in the coupon code PODCASTLISTENER at the checkout.